of the dreadnought cleaver of Soyrapt. This is Captain Pladius. I am contacting you from the House of Reckoning on behalf of the War Chief. It's been confirmed. The demon is alive, and an hour ago he destroyed the ghost of Grabraken. Escharum himself encountered the Spartan on the ship as it was scuttled. As such, your complement of troops will be sent to the island to assist our individual Bloodstars in securing key sites in the area and keeping them out of human hands. Now, captains, remind your Ungoi that these Bloodstars are not of the Covenant anymore. There has been too much confusion amongst the new arrivals in recent months. And the last thing Escharum wants is more grunt arms torn off for mere stupidity. These Bloodstars were reappropriated by Atriox himself after the Covenant fell. Amongst the Bloodstar ranks are filled with the most deadliest warriors, be that mighty chieftains or scrawny Ungoi. They are known for their skill and ruthlessness, with many Bloodstars vying to become the next member of the Hand of Atriox. The best, the cruelest, the most efficient killers in the universe, assembled by Escharum himself to hunt down the last vestige of the human Spartans, wherever they may hide. Now, all captains shall be provided with a full dossier on each Bloodstar stationed on the island, so your troops will not have a care not to vex any of them. That is, if they wish to live longer. So, let us begin. We shall begin with the lowest of the Bloodstar ranks, the Ungoi. The grunts may be weaklings, but these few show an uncharacteristic bloodlust and ferocity amongst their kind, and have thus earned them the mantle of Bloodstar. The mercenary BIPBAP, member of the Alpha Pack, 9th Combat Element, and the Heart of Tala, is among the most dangerous Ungoi within our army. Once a bodyguard for Covenant leadership, BIPBAP earned his reputation for ruthlessness and service to the toothless chieftain Tartarus, slaying scores of his own kind for siding with the elites in the Great War. After the fall of the oppressive Covenant, BIPBAP returned to his homeworld to refashion himself as an assassin for hire, and was so successful that he was granted the title of Vanquisher by his pitiful excuse of a clan. BIPBAP is notorious for numerous acts of widespread carnage and destruction, especially on the colony of Venezia, where his relentless and ruthless pursuit caused the deaths of hundreds of humans. A truly fearsome creature indeed. But he pales in comparison to BRIGLARO, member of the 4th Lance, 8th Combat Element, and the Beholders of the One. He is known to his kind as the High SUMPTER. Have a care in dealing with this one with your soldiers. The War Chief informed me that this one is not like the rest of his kind. This grunt gained notoriety near the end of the Covenant War and the Great Schism, where the Covenant tore itself apart under the weight of the Prophet's lies and its worthless dogma. It was at this time where BRIGLARO's vicious and often sadistic behavior on the battlefield earned him a high-priority target designation by the Arbiter's forces, which would later become known as the Swords of St. Helios. BRIGLARO joined the Banished after the wars ended, where his macabre infatuation with glory, violence, and his affinity for we Jirlhani, our ruthless, our strength inspired his own, and this earned him a great deal of respect among his peers. He has been known to not just kill UNSC personnel at rates far greater than that of any other Ungoi, but he did so in horrific and disturbing ways. Don't underestimate this one. He may be more fearsome than our brothers give him credit for. With that, we will proceed to the Kigyar Bloodstars. Take care in dealing with these pirate scum. I do not trust them, but I dare not question Escherum's judgment. He believes them to be of use to the Banished, so that is enough for me, and will be enough for you. Now then, one of the only two jackals worthy to be called Bloodstar is the marksman known as BARROTH, Arch-KHORDAT of the First Cell Recon Combat Element, and member of the Sclera of Chuat. This is one of the most deadliest hunters among his kind, having earned the title of KHORDAT for his exceptional prowess behind a rifle. The Rushian marksman BARROTH garnered a reputation among Kigyar treasure hawks and raiding crews for his virtually unblemished accuracy record. That reputation earned the attention of Atriox, and this jackal was eventually brought into the Bloodstar ranks with the aim of producing a lethal Spartan killer for the war chief. Not much is known of his kill count, though rumblings suggest that nearly 300 humans have fallen behind his scope. Advise your troops to exercise caution with this one, unless you want them to become his next target practice. Now then, next we have the skirmisher Rith Cool of the Delta Pack, 3rd combat element and member of the Thieves of the Claw, and a jackal with a mind for naval warfare. Though she claims the mantle of skirmisher, inform your forces she is not a true Tavoan, but just a Rushian female dressed like one. According to our records, Cole was born in the Tower of Vetnos on the forsaken asteroid of Azd, one of the only cities of this colony to remain unaffected by the constant threat of piracy among their kind. After the Great Schism, her name rose to prominence in Tartarus' circle, due to her intellect and strategic wisdom of space warfare, which earned her the role of Naval Combat Architect. In this new capacity, Rith managed to take down over 185 human capital ships, making her one of the most lethal Covenant assets in space. When the Covenant finally went undone, however, Rith took her frigate, Dagger of Mercy, and its crew, and continued ransacking foreigner relic sites and trading them in the burgeoning post-war, cross-species black market. Although lucrative, she desired to return to warfare and sought out Atriox for placement in his ranks. And now her talents for naval warfare belong to the Banished. Is it any wonder why we took this ring from the humans so easily? Her talents have served us well. Next, we have an unusual member of the Bloodstars, the hunter collective known as MYRIAD of the 5th Lance, 1st combat element, and part of the horde worms of Severe. Some of our brothers who have served under this creature have noticed a behavioral evolution in scattered instances, trending towards a more individualized identity and intelligence among the Megalagolo. Rather than simply an ordering following hive mind, our raiding parties have encountered similar occurrences in recent years with the Swarm Lords that served alongside a dangerous, independent faction of ex-Covenant Ovakati led by the Sanghili Kianazaz. And of course there's the bond pair known as Colony, who accompanied Atriox in his mission to the Ark. MYRIAD is another of these semi-sentient hunters. MYRIAD was single-handedly responsible for the death of 2 Spartan fire teams, and, if left unchecked, could represent not only an immediate danger to UNSC forces remaining on the ring, but also another dangerous precedent in the species' evolution. We must be cautious in dealing with this one, lest their race might, someday, challenge Atriox's vision for the Banished on this ring. We next have the Sangheli, a species that once lorded over our people during the decadent times of the Covenant. But Atriox and his former, Dasgallo, have seen the wisdom of throwing aside useless prejudice, and now the elites serve alongside us. Banished brothers, to the end. First we have General INKA, SAHAM of the Third Lance, second combat element, and member of the Valor Gods of the Chosen. This Sangheli grew in notoriety during the Covenant War as shipmaster of the DAS-class stormcutter, Heresy's Sorrow, which repeatedly harassed human supply lines and trade routes. After the fall of the Covenant, Saham struck an alliance with our war chief and dedicated the service of his ship and crew to the Banished. A year ago, a Spartan was dispatched to assassinate Saham, but their pitiful mission failed, and the assassin was held and tortured as a prisoner of war. But not to obtain intelligence, oh no, but simply for Saham's enjoyment. Since then, Saham has been inducted into the Bloodstars to train warriors in the art of eliminating and breaking Spartans. Despite my reservations for the elites, I can't help but admire INKA's lethality and bloodlust. Next we have Ordo Mal of the Hydor Skrill Pack, 8th combat element and member of Capra's Grief, and a Sangheli whose talents in a wraith are without equal. During the Covenant War, Ordo was accomplished among Sangheli wraith pilots, and was responsible for the death of more than 600 humans. His death toll increased to more than 1,000 in the years following, many of those taking place during our raid on the UEG colony of Palganar, where the human settlers held out against our forces for 19 days, to the bitter end. Unlike the others of his kind, Ordo Mal did not join the Banished until well after the Covenant's collapse, as his species was being thrown into civil war. Returning to his native keep, he assembled a network of feudal raid lances under his aggressive and mercenary leadership before being directly approached by our War Master himself for service in the Banished. In the ensuing years, Ordo Mal caught the eye of Escharum, and his ever-increasing favor earned him the title of Wraith Master among the Banished, and he remains one of the single most dangerous elements in his combat stratagem. From what I've heard, he can swat a Banshee with a single shot from his Wraith. Even I wouldn't test my talents against his. But his talents cannot match that of OKRO VAGADUUN of the Blind Lance within the 5th combat element and member of the Blood-Brave Guardians of Suban. For the last decade of the war, VAGADUUN was considered one of the most lethal infantry assets in the Covenant, and was granted the title of Blade Master by the corrupt Minister of Resolution for his remarkable combat ability. More titles the prophets used to keep true warriors mired in falseness, docile, complacent. But VAGADUUN apparently hailed from a long line of sword fighters, and when his enemies rose against him, he met their challenge and repeatedly defied odds, surviving even when vastly outnumbered. There is something admirable about that, even for Sangheli. When the Covenant fell into dismay at the hands of the Sanshayum treachery, he returned to Suban, the blood moon of Sanghelios and his birth world, where he was approached by Atriox with an invitation to join the Banished. Only after a year of watching his own people fall to civil war, he agreed. Since then, VAGADUUN has fought our cause as part of the Blood Brave, a sect of highly esteemed warriors from his homeworld. He fought in the deadliest battles against the Covenant, even battling the last vestige of the Covenant aboard their dormant ship, last sighted on the Ark, the mighty foreigner dreadnought to retrieve slipspace crystal fragments housed within. It was his efforts that delivered our War Master from the Ark to our greater mission here on Zeta Halo. The highest-ranking member of elites within Bloodstar ranks is Kaidan Thav Sabaram, commander of the 1st Lance within the 3rd Combat Element, and leader of the Warriors of Malistan. He was one of the leading Covenant commanders in their final strikes against the human homeworld of Earth and its sister colonies of Reach and Luna. But he abandoned his post after the prophets betrayed his people and fled back to his homeworld of Suban to be reunited with their kin at the Keep of Malistan. These elites, they have the strangest of names for their homes. As his kind descended into a vicious cycle of civil war, the Kaidan joined forces with Atriox. As we Banished do not discriminate against our Sangheli brothers, so long as they were skilled and were of use to the War Master. But I can admit, Sabaram truly earned his legend for his actions in the Battle of Harrow, where he besieged the city of Hadruvan, which resulted in the death of over 700,000 humans. Even I have to admire Thav's surgical and deadly tactics. I would not wish to be his enemy. And at last, we cover the cruelest and the deadliest of the Juralhani Bloodstars, or those few who are on their way to become Bloodstars, from mighty chieftains to deadly captains. BALKARUS, member of the Glow Pack of the Advanced Combat Element and member of the Exodus Guard, is one such captain. A veteran officer of the Banished, he once served directly under Atriox's command, accompanying the War Master in several critical missions, including his expedition to the Ark and his dealings with the Hunter Collective known as Colony. In recent years, he has attempted to leverage this trusted standing to earn a place in our Bloodstar Spec Ops group, so that he may satiate his thirst for Spartan blood. Though he has yet to achieve this grand goal, BALKARUS has distinguished himself among his fellow captains for his ferociousness in battle, and has been even known to kill his own soldiers for the slightest demonstrations of hesitancy on the battlefield. Remind that to your grunts whenever they grow fearful. Another captain within the Bloodstar ranks is ARTHOC of the WRITH Pack, 2nd Combat Element and member of the Brothers of Unending Ire Tribe. ARTHOC has brought death and havoc on UNSC operations for over a decade, first serving under Korth the Render. Part of the Brothers of Unending Ire, ARTHOC led nearly 4 dozen individual assaults on human colony sites. The most vicious was an ambush on the colony of Tersyra that claimed the lives of 3 human ODST squads. ARTHOC and the rest of the Brothers of Unending Ire have thus sworn allegiance to Atriox and the Banished. I do not know if I can trust him or his clan, for their motives are unknown to me, but their fierceness and bloodlust have been deemed useful to Escharum and our goals. For now. But there is one of the most senior officers in the Banished that served Atriox well, ZERETUS of the ETA Pack of the 3rd Combat Element, and member of the Lance of the Writhing Star. Known by his brothers as the Scourge Maker, he was among the first to join the rebellion after Atriox made his stand against the Covenant. Since then, he's been a critical component of Banished exploration efforts, leading numerous operations to scour foreigner relic sites in search of critical assets and destroying anything that stands in his way. In one such operation on the ocean moon Lagolim, ZERETUS ordered the sinking of a human research colony in pursuit of an ancient foreigner site beneath the seas. More than 1,000 human researchers were stationed there. None survived. And he was among the raiding parties that retrieved the slipspace crystal from Covenant forces, still clinging to life aboard the foreigner dreadnought on the Ark, alongside Blademaster VAGADUUN and others warpacks. It was through this effort that Atriox was able to return to us after nearly a year without a word of his status. Be sure to afford him the proper respect for his efforts alone. Amongst the battle chiefs within the Banished, Iknovis, commander of the 4th Lance of the 1st Combat Element and member of Rauriel's Wrath, is one of the most experienced by far. He partook in the Covenant attack on Jericho 7, where he decimated several human cities with unyielding force. Serving under the chieftain known only today as the Thrall Slayer, Iknovis soon gained renown for his violent and bloodthirsty nature, including a particular penchant for eating the severed limbs of his enemies, while they watched in agony, gaining the moniker Iknovis the Devourer. Throughout his own meteoric rise to chieftain, this warrior continued to lay waste to human settlements, even after breaking away from the Covenant. His pack, Rauriel's Wrath, joined the Banished in 2550 and began to indiscriminately target any species or faction that dared stood in their way. Truly, he is a force to be reckoned with. Remember that. And lastly, the mightiest chieftain within our Bloodstar ranks is Engeddon, leader of the Alpha Pack within the 1st Combat Element and chieftain of the Bulwark of Bone Clan. He is one of the original Banished who had parted ways with the Covenant alongside both Atriox and Decimus, a mere tool of the Prophets, charging into the maw of death until we said enough. Engeddon's service under the War Master has truly unlocked his potential. Upon returning his clan in Zomar, a major city on the Jurulhani colony moon of Tesh, Engeddon rallied those who had remained to join the Banished, forging his identity as their new chieftain. And it was here that this savage leader began to gain his destructive renown. Like the other leaders within the Banished, Engeddon led a distinctive subset of warriors, the Bulwark of Bone, gathering its own followers before coming to the service of Atriox's campaign. In the Banished, the chieftain carved a bloody path through dozens of human colonies, most notably Seaford and Varionos, in large-scale raiding operations that left these worlds crippled in his wake. May this legend inspire your forces to do what needs to be done to fulfill Atriox's vision for our future. With that, this debriefing is concluded. Captains, prepare your forces for the reassigned post and proceed to the ring's surface at once. I will tolerate no delays, nor any insipid excuses. The demon must not impede our efforts to rebuild this ring and find the auditorium, and it will be up to your troops and the Bloodstars to see that he does not. Let Atriox's will be done. This is Captain Pladius of the House of Reckoning. End transmission.